now what I want to do is give you a couple of situations. One of the things that doubles teams have to decide is which formation they're going to use and when, depending on, you know, the strengths and weaknesses of both players, right? And I want to give you a specific example. On our team, we had a player who was a really good singles player, had great ground strokes, really didn't feel comfortable at the net, didn't want to play at the net at all. Really good player, right? And so, but we had problems using him in doubles, right? Because he never wanted to be at the net. And it took us a little while to figure it out, but then we realized, look, we could do this, right? So by using the different formations, so he never played at the net. Anytime it would be a natural formation for him to play at the net, we played a two-back strategy, right? So he was always comfortable and always at the baseline. I like to play net, so when it was my turn to be at the net, we would use the one up, one back strategy because I wanted to play net. And then sometimes when I served, we started off both back. Sometimes I'd serve and volley, and we'd go immediately into an up and back position. And then sometimes I'd stay back, right? But what we sort of realized is by using these different formations, we also sort of got to see what the strengths and weaknesses of our opponents were. And then we sort of quickly figured out, did we want to use as much as possible the one up, one back formation, or were we really best two back, right? And this is just one example of where the different strengths and weaknesses of you and your partner really dictate to you which formation you're going to use, because what you want to do is hide your weaknesses and you want to exaggerate your strengths. But can you also talk about how, in your experience, situations where you know, maybe you would normally play one up, one back, but then you know in this situation, I'm going to play two back, I'm going to play two up, you're going to make adjustments?
Yeah, I don't mind playing two back at all. The only time it bothers me is when I'm serving. I have an above average serve, and if my opponent stands back, it's like he's slapping me in the face. That being said, you're right though. It's there's nothing wrong with both players staying back, and quite frankly, it's a good tactic because when you get two players at the net, okay, and they're not talking to one another, typically speaking, they stay at the same level like this, and you're pounding low balls at them, right? And all they're going to do is they're going to block the ball back, and sometimes they're going to pop it up, which again allows you to just to tee off on them. Okay. If they're smart doubles players and they've got the net cover like this, eventually you're going to lose because the closer you are to the net, the more angles you have, and that's how you end the point. Okay. So you have to be real smart about changing it up and get, like I said, get in their head. If you are back and your guys like to be at the net like this, you can lob them and then you can rush the net. Or if they're playing back, what you want to do is keep the ball low, hit the slice low or topspin low, not quite shallow and high, because again, if it bounces up high, they can crush you. But keeping the low ball low is I always call it barbecuing. Keeping the ball low makes them hit the ball up, gives me time to come in. Or if you hit a high looping shot, again, it's not quite a lob, it's like an offensive lob, but it's not quite that. It gives you time to rush the net where your partner can stand in the back. And then once you've got that, then it becomes the chess match. What am I going to poach? What are they going to do? And as an aggressive net player, and if they know you're aggressive, what are they going to do? They're going to look to go behind you. And so to take away that shot of going behind you, shading is very, very important. So if I hit the ball and I tell my partner, I know you got a great shot, don't hit it deep and wide. Either go with a slice low and wide or hard and deep. Because if I do a high shot low and a high shot that bounces like right here, this guy's going to rail and hit the ball right at me. He's going to tee off on me. So if I keep the ball low, he has to hit up on the ball, which gives me time to move around. Now, some people will telegraph where they're going to hit the ball. So if you're playing a person who doesn't either disguise his shots or doesn't know he's telegraphing, that's when you've got a chance to really go on what I'm talking. And you'll see this when I'm playing in doubles, is when I know my partner hits a low ball, I know the guys that come in, you're going to see me poach a lot. Why? Because he's going to have to hit up on the ball number one. He can't ball hard number two. And if you go outside in, which most people are going to do, you immediately can't go down the line because you're going outside in. Now, what I mean by outside in, that means when I go outside the ball and I go across my body in. That's typically how you hit an angle shot. You go across your body. So if I can see that they're going across their body, I know where they're going to go. And in doubles, it's not how fast you can get there. It's only 2 steps at the most. 1 to 2 steps is all it takes. And so people give you credit for having a bigger range than you really have. The other thing is, when they're doing that, if my opponent's got a really big forehand, I close on the net because the net becomes my friend. I'm only having to block this much versus this much. I've got like 2 feet of the ball coming at me versus 3 or 4 feet if I stand back. So if I close on the net, when he's going to pound the ball at me, take away, and I also give myself more angle. So it gives me a higher degree of success. So if my partner loves hitting ground strokes and they like hitting ground strokes, and they're just going back and forth like that, like I said, going down the middle takes away their angle, gives me opportunity. Hitting the low ball, which is slow, so to come up and generate power and hit up on the ball, gives me an opportunity then to do that. Now, if I like to go and this guy sees behind me, my partner has to be smart. If he sees me going, he has to immediately cover down. There's nothing worse that makes me more upset is when my doubles partner doesn't, they just stand there. So if I go like this, they want me to go back. Well, go back takes me a lot more effort. It's easier for my partner to cover this. Plus, he's got the time to go over here. I don't have the time to go back. Okay. Another thing that doubles partners don't do is how often do you see this? Both guys are like this and it goes like this, right? The ball's going back and forth like this. Happens all the time, right?
Right.
If I hit a hard, deep shot, and I'm like this, if I do this, my partner has to know then to do this. Okay. But if I do this and my partner sits over here, I open up this whole entire half. So you have to have a way of communicating where your partner has to know, hey, listen, if you hit this shot, I'm going to go here. And when I've played doubles with you, I've always told you, hey, listen, I'm looking for this shot. When I get this shot, I'm going. So to avoid this from happening and no one's over there, my partner, when he sees me move, he has to slide over here instantly because there's too much angle if he doesn't. And then we're back away. But by doing this, I can cut the ball off and then go between them.
Okay, so Ted, the other day you made a really good point about the 2-up strategy. So if you can change your chalkboard there and put one of the teams in the 2-up strategy. Okay, now I think almost all of us have been taught when you're in the 2-up formation that you're exactly parallel to each other, right? So you're, and the truth is that that's not the best formation for the 2-up. And I think this is a mistake that I see all the time at the USTA level, right? That you have 2 guys, a straight line, right? And thinking that that's the best 2-up formation, where you have explained that shading, where one player stands a little bit back, is actually a much superior formation. Can you go through that for everybody?
There's 2 things in that. The first thing is what you just said. If we're at varying lengths or depths from the net, okay, usually my rule of thumb is the closest one to the ball takes the ball, because when you're closer to the net, you've got more angle for the put away. I am very offensive when it comes to net play. So if the ball is this side down here and this guy's going in there, I will tell my partner, if he can, play there, and I'll play a little bit deep. Now that does open up the short angle over here. So if I do this all the time, he's going to see that. So again, this is communication. Hey, on this point, I'm going to cheat into the net. Or if I see my partner cheating in the net, I know to go back. And then I'll say to my partner, switch it up. So then he'll play back and I'll play up there. like that. Now, if I'm going to play closer to the net, guess what I can do? I can cheat more to the middle too. Why? Because if I stay over here, I'm opening up. If I cheat like this, I'm opening up the angle over here. So if you're cheating, you have to shade as you cheat. And that's another thing. When I'm returning the ball, sometimes I'll lob or try to go down the line, right? Well, how often does a doubles partner just look at the ball? They stay right where they are. They don't move because their feet are made of concrete. They refuse to move. All you have to do again is take 2 steps to the middle. You cover the angle if they got the shot, or if they hit a drop shot, you've got the drop shot. But as if my partner at the net and my partner's receiving, I got to help him out because again, if they hit a drop shot, I have to be able to get to that ball because he can't. If they hit a really good shot, and that's why. And again, this I love about tennis is if my partner's serving, and they know I'm at net, and most guys know that I like the drop shot, right? And so the guy at the net, he knows I'm going to want to hit a drop shot. So what do? I hit a lower ball a little bit farther past him, so I know he can't get to it. So I force the other guy to come in on it. And that's part of the 3-dimensional part of doubles that people don't see, is that there's time for the drop shot, and there's time then for the lower just past him. And then when this guy plays in on my drop shot, guess what I do to him? I hit the ball past him, behind him, so it lands in the line. That's the chess match you play with people. When do I go here? When do I go here? When do I go here? And there's variations in between. Like I said earlier, if you've got a ball above the net and you want to put a little bit more angle on, you can actually make a straight contact or even brush up on it with a little bit of topspin at the volley. That's modern tennis because you've got better control with your rackets. Now you can do this, which opens the court up more. The other thing you were talking about varying depths on the court is when we're playing cross court at an angle like this, and the guy's at the net, this guy, if he stands parallel to the net and the ball's coming at an angle, it's harder for him to volley. But if he rotates himself and faces where the ball's coming from, again, like shading, where he turns his body, when you hit an angle at him, it's an easier shot to hit because it's coming straight at him. Because again, redirecting a ball in tennis is harder than hitting a straight ball. Everybody knows that. And so if I can alternate how I'm facing the net, or my partner, I should say, or the ball, I'm shading the ball, it allows me then to hit the extreme angle. People say, oh my God, how'd you hit that ball? It's an easy shot, actually, because I'm already looking at it. And that's why if you're straight facing the net or at an angle, that's what changes that. So the 2 things are the depth, altering the depth, and also shading where I'm on the ball, turning myself not straight to the net, but at an angle to the net.
So Ted, another point that I want you to make about the 2-up formation that I like so much is the other mistake I think that a lot of people in the 2-up formation make is when you're going to get lobbed if you're both in the 2-up, right? And so let's take this situation where you've got the 2 blue players. The one is a little forward and the other one is a little back, right? Now, let's say that they lob over the blue player that's closer to the net. Now, a lot of USTA players, that blue player close to the net, will try to go back and get that lob. But that's the wrong tactic. And explain that to our viewers, Ted.
That's actually a very good point. And that happens all the time. And it's frustrating too. If I go straight back, okay, and I say if you got the ball and I stay here, what happens when I hit the shot? I'm out of position. So it's easier for me to cut off the angle because it's actually a shorter distance. And then when I do that, my partner has to then switch. And quite often I have to yell at my partner switch because they don't know. Or if they, and again, it's also important to know which side they're on and also how good they move. There are some people I play with who can move extremely well. And in those situations, if they hit a soft lob, I'll let my partner take it because I know he can chase it down and then put the ball away because he's got a great overhead. But again, there's different levels of play and also different times in our life. So as I get older, I don't want to do that anymore. I'll let my partner get it. But because when he gets it, again, think about this. If he's right-handed, guess what? It's his forehand. So why am I going to take a backhand when I can give my partner a chance to get an easier shot at the ball, plus take a forehand? So that's what I'm talking about, is we have to realize where we're playing and who we're playing with and what we're good at and what we're not good at.
Another situation that I want to bring up is where you have, let's use the red team, right? So you got one up, one back, right? And then you have the other guys that are both okay, like that, right? Okay, so now the situation that I want to raise is where the blue player is serving, he has a strong serve, and the red player who's returning has a weak return.
Okay,
and so what's happening is that this net player for the red team is getting blasted, right? Because he's floating the ball back and he's got no time to react, and they're taking these balls that are high above the net and they're just blasted, right? But a lot of times they'll just stand there and take it. Rather, I think in that situation, you know, obviously you want your partner to return better, but if he can't, then you have to back out, right? Because at least then you're giving yourself a little more time to respond to a really easy shot that the blue players are. And so that's just one example where I see someone sticking to a formation that's just the wrong formation because his partner can't hit a good return.
Especially on a first serve. Personally speaking, I will do 70% on my first serve versus hitting a true 90% pace as I can, because my percentage of the ball going in are lower. So if I've got a big first serve, I'm playing well today, and this guy's a weak player, then you're right. You both stand back. However, if I'm back here and I know this what's going to happen, as long as I know that my ball can go over there, I'll close on the net really close, because he can rail the ball as hard as he wants to. Because all I have to do is, and this is another thing too, is that if I leave my racket in front of me and use my other hand to help push the racket, and I've got a strong enough pushing through the ball, make contact and just push through just a little bit, he can't get the ball by me. But not everyone's got the ability to do that. So you're right. If you don't have the ability to do that, and you know that this guy can't hit that over there, there's nothing wrong with both people staying back whatsoever. Or this guy, just go ahead and lob the ball. Because even if it's an overhead, you know what? The other opponents can't put the ball away. Right. So yes, there's more than one solution to winning the point.
Can you think of any other sort of formation adjustments that you see where you see players and they're just getting beaten, you know, either because their partner has a bad return or some other part of the game is just not where they just don't make the adjustment that they need to make?
I'll tell you a really fun one. The difference between singles and doubles. You'll get these guys who love, and they fall in love with hitting topspin shots. Okay, you know these players, they love topspin. Well, these players, when they hit topspin, they loop the ball over the net, don't they? Right. In order to loop the ball, they hit the ball high above the net, don't they? So as a net man, I lead that all day long. I stay back, I read where they're going to go with the ball, and then I close on the net, and I put the ball away. And the guys who do this, they have no idea what they're doing because they can't alter their shot because they're so used to looping they're looping their ground strokes. So if you're playing a doubles team with one good ground stroke guy who loves to run balls down all day long, fine, let him. But his net partner is going to get crunched at the net because I'm going to be poaching left and right. You know, if my return hits nothing but slice, that's another good thing to know. Because if he's hitting slice, I've got time to run the ball down. I don't have to worry about poaching because because if you're slicing the ball, you can't hit the ball as hard as you can with topspin. So I've got time to run the ball down. So, and that's why I said earlier, if you see the guy slicing, you know you've got time. Now, still cover your alley, but look to go. And again, as long as I've got the racket in front of me and I push through the ball, the odds are in my favor.
So we've talked a little bit about, we started with a one up, one back. We talked about two up. We talked about two back. Um, can you, if you're just starting a match and you don't know anything about the other team, which formation do you start in and why?
I like to start in the normal standard doubles to get a feel for what they're good at. Because if someone takes the ad side, chances are there's a reason why they like the ad side. So even if my partner has a good serve to the back end, I'm not going to go fancy on them until I see what's coming. And that's why I like playing back when I'm serving or when I'm at the net with my partner at the service line. The other thing is this: if I'm at the service line deep like this, I don't have to be crouched over and I can play almost to the middle. So again, I'm almost playing I formation tennis already.
Right.
See, because I've opened up the court for my partner by playing so far back. So I think that today was a really good day.
So so you're going to start every match in the 1-up, 1-back formation. What about the other team would convince you to either move to a 2-up or a 2-back formation?
Well, if I knew something about them, if I knew that they both had big serves, there's no way I'm going to play for first serve at the net because I already know it's, or I'll cheat and I'll play back here, and I'll still do
Right.
that because again, I hate giving away the net. If I'm away from the net, it pains me.
Right. Right. But I like that the way you, so, with the 2-back formation, you don't have to both be at the baseline, right? And that, especially if you have someone who's comfortable taking the ball in the air, that sort of modified 2-back, right, allows him to still get up to the net and hit balls, right? But, he's still going to be able to get, if it's a deep shot to the baseline, he can still take that ball in the air and get it back. So I like that modification of the 2-back formation, and I think it actually most times makes more sense than having both players at the baseline. Do you agree?
Totally, because again, if we're both at the baseline, it opens up way too much court for my opponents if they're any good.
All right. Well, I think that's all the time we have for today. But we're going to be back and we're going to be talking about Australian formation, I formation, and a lot of other doubles formation information in our next one. Ted, thank you so much. Your information's been so helpful.